If your story isn't working, there is a good chance you've diagnosed the wrong problem. Because what we think is wrong on the page actually often isn't the thing that's actually causing readers to disengage with our stories. Let's talk about what might really be going on. Okay, have you ever written a scene that was supposed to be emotional and then it has gotten almost no reaction from readers? Maybe your character is feeling devastated or heartbroken or terrified, or they're grieving or they're angry. And yet when people read the scene, they say things like, yeah, I understood what happened, or yeah, I could tell she was sad. And that's it. There's no emotional response. They're not crying. There's no tears. There's no gut punch. There's no like lingering feeling after they finish the chapter. They just understand. And that is very, very frustrating because we know as writers the emotion is there. We put it on the page. So why didn't our readers feel it? Most writers, I think, assume the answer is the emotion needs to be stronger. But I don't really think that's the problem. I think the real problem is that the emotion doesn't have enough specific meaning. It doesn't carry meaning. Readers don't feel emotions because emotions are just simply there. They feel emotions because they understand what those emotions mean to the character experiencing them. I have written scenes where I have literally cried, and so I know the emotion is there. I have written scenes that I thought were going to be emotional, and I didn't cry, so I knew the emotion wasn't there. Once you understand the difference between emotions being present on the page versus being attached to meaning, then emotional scenes become a lot easier to diagnose and then to obviously fix. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Here is an example that is taken sort of from my book, written as Ivy Cassidy, House of Spells and Secrets. So here's version 1. Rowan unfolded the letter and read the final paragraph. Her mother had kept secrets from them. The words blurred. She felt angry and hurt and betrayed. For a long moment, she simply stared at the page. She couldn't believe her mother had lied. Okay, that is not actually what I wrote, but here readers understand the emotion that Rowan is angry, that she's hurt, that she feels betrayed because we've been told that. It's kind of a showing versus telling thing. But readers don't feel that themselves. They're not feeling it inside because we were simply naming the emotions. We were telling rather than showing. But look what happens when we add meaning. So this again is from House of Spells and Secrets, where 3 sisters return home after their mother has died and they begin uncovering secrets that their mother never told them about. Rowan unfolded the letter and read the final paragraph again, and then a third time. The handwriting was unmistakably her mother's, the same looping script that had signed birthday cards and school notes and Christmas gifts. For years, Rowan had wished for one more conversation, one more chance to ask why Bridget had left. Now she finally had her mother's words, and somehow they felt less comforting than silence, because every sentence seemed to belong to a woman Rowan wasn't sure she knew anymore. Okay, look at what is different. In the second example, Rowan isn't just angry. The emotion has meaning, it has context. It isn't that there is just a secret. It's the realization that the mother she spent this time grieving may not be the mother she thought she was. So the emotion becomes more about identity, about Rowan's memory, about trust, and about the loss. So readers don't just sort of understand the feeling, they understand what the feeling costs her. So much of this story is really about the sisters discovering that grief and truth are not the same thing. I needed to layer in the emotions the sisters experienced to convey that and to really give context and meaning so the reader could experience it. This video is part of my Diagnosing the Problem series. In every episode, we look at how to recognize a common writing problem, what is actually causing it, and how to fix it. Because often the issue isn't what writers think it is. Emotional scenes are a great example of this. If we haven't met before, I'm Melissa Bourbon. I have written more than 35 novels across mystery and magical fiction. And if there's one thing I've learned about emotional storytelling, it is this. Readers rarely cry because a character cries. Readers rarely feel heartbreak because a character feels heartbreak. Readers usually don't feel fear because a character feels fear. Readers are going to feel these things when they understand the personal meaning underneath those emotions. That is where emotional connection sort of exists or lives. It's not in the emotion itself, but in the significance of that emotion. Big distinction. So how do we recognize this as a problem? Well, most emotional scenes that don't land actually look emotional on the surface. That's what makes it really hard to diagnose because we think we've included the emotions. In books, you might notice that readers understand the emotion, but maybe don't react to it, or emotional scenes feel flat, or beta readers say they get it, but weren't really moved, or the scene feels sort of melodramatic or forced, or characters cry, but readers don't. In your own writing, if you're naming the emotions clearly, if you're showing emotional reactions, if the scene isn't creating the impact you expected, then there is a lack of emotional meaning. So those are the clues. The emotion is present, the meaning isn't. This is where writers usually go wrong. This is the misdiagnosis. So writers will assume, okay, then the scene needs more emotion. So they add maybe more crying or more shouting or more heartbreak or more emotional language or something that is more intense. But those things are not the same as emotional impact. Sometimes adding more emotion can actually weaken the scene because readers aren't really connecting to the feeling, and we need them to connect to the feeling. We do this by making sure they connect to the meaning behind that feeling. Okay, here's just an example. I was just in California this past week visiting my two oldest kids. They're both in the music industry. It was incredible seeing the lives they've built for themselves in this industry. And every time I visit any one of my kids, I have 5, whether it's in California or Brooklyn or even the 2 that just live a couple of hours away, I end up having the same experience when it's time to leave. The goodbye itself isn't what gets me emotionally. People say goodbye every day, right? People walk through airports every day. People get on airplanes every day. So objectively, it's a pretty ordinary event. But and if you go to the airport and see the million people, then you know that. But as I'm walking into the airport and my son's car disappears into the mass of cars, then suddenly I'm hit by sort of all the things that moment means, leaving them means, how quickly time has passed. Look, I'm getting teary. How different their lives are from when they were little. The fact that I don't know exactly when I'm going to see them again. The realization that every single visit becomes a new memory, and then that moment is over. So this is what creates the emotion. It's not the airport. It's not the goodbye. It's not the plane. It's the meaning attached to it. And y'all, stories work exactly the same way. All right, what's actually causing this problem? Most emotional scenes fail because they're focused on emotion instead of significance. So readers aren't connecting to sad, angry, afraid, happy. Sad, angry, afraid, happy. They connect to why this sadness matters, why this fear matters, why this joy matters, why this loss matters. So meaning is the thing that creates emotion, not the other way around. Okay, here's a new example for you. Think about the opening of the movie Up. People don't cry because Carl is sad. People cry because they understand what Ellie meant to him. And that loss has context. There's history, specificity, there's meaning. That is so powerful because it's a human experience that we all share. In The Hunger Games, when Katniss volunteers for Prim, that scene isn't powerful because Katniss is emotional. It's powerful because we, the readers, understand exactly what Prim means to Katniss. That's what gives it emotional weight. That is powerful.
Well, I bet my hat that was your sister, wasn't it? Yes.
I've spent a lot of time and my husband building our garden, our flower garden. And most people just see flowers, but I see stories. I remember which plants struggled through the summer, which ones never took root, which ones took a little while, like a couple of years before they finally bloomed, which ones I transplanted and then did take root, which ones came from friends, there's my dogs. Which ones came from friends or from my mom? Which ones I almost gave up on, but then, came back. But then a few nights ago, deer came through and they literally destroyed a huge section of our garden. They ate all the flowers off the daylilies and they ate the hostas. And these are plants that we've spent so much time nurturing. Now, if I show you this video, you might think, oh, that's too bad. Okay, because those flowers have no meaning to you. But that's not what I felt, because I wasn't just looking at damaged plants. I'm looking at all the care we put in there, the anticipation and the memories tied to this space that we've created. The flowers themselves, or the loss of them, aren't the emotional part. The meaning attached is. And that's how emotional scenes work. Readers don't connect to feelings in isolation. They connect to what those feelings represent to them, and we need to make those universal experiences. Why do we do this? I think we do this because we're focused on helping readers understand the emotion, and we think we need to name that emotion. So we write, she was devastated, or he was furious, or she was terrified, and then we stop there. But understanding an emotion and experiencing an emotion are two very different things. Readers need access to the significance, not just feeling. All right, how do we fix this? So here's the practical part of this video. The first technique is to ask what the emotion represents. Every strong emotion points to something underneath it, like loss or identity or belonging or regret or hope. You have to ask yourself, what does this emotion represent for the character? Because that is where the real part of the scene and that meaning lives. So ask yourself that question and embed that in rather than just naming the emotions. All right, technique 2 is to get specific. Generic emotions create generic reactions. Specific emotions create personal reactions. So instead of saying she missed her father, try she missed being able to call him when something broke. That is specific, and that creates meaning, and we can all relate to that. The third technique is to show the cost. What changes because of this emotion? What can never happen now? What was lost? What was threatened? What became impossible? Readers can connect to consequences, and that's really important. So think about, what was the cost to that character? Here is a quick recap. If your readers aren't feeling what your character feels, stop adding more emotion and start adding more meaning. Get specific, reveal what the emotion represents, and show what was gained or lost or changed. Because again, emotional impact comes from significance, not from the intensity that you're showing. Readers don't feel emotions because emotions are on the page. They feel emotions because those emotions mean something. The goal isn't making readers understand that your character is sad. The goal is helping them understand why that sadness matters. And that is the thing that's going to create emotional connection. That is what is going to make your emotional scenes unforgettable. It's going to be the thing that makes readers feel something viscerally. How about some homework? I want you this week to think about, what does this emotion mean to my character in your book? So pick an emotional scene from your manuscript. Then look past the emotion itself and ask yourself, what is the deeper significance underneath this feeling? Because very often that is where the strongest version of the scene is hiding. So take a little time and look at the emotions in one of your scenes and see what you discover and see how you can make it more meaningful for the reader, giving context and significance. If this kind of craft analysis helps you understand your writing more clearly, and I hope it does, please make sure you subscribe. This series is all about diagnosing the real problem underneath the page so that revision and even writing the first time around becomes simpler, clearer, more effective. Next week, we're going to be talking about why your emotional scenes fall flat. So understanding character emotion and scene emotion, those are two different things. They're both essential. So make sure you tune in for that, and make sure you catch up on all the Diagnosing the Problem videos. And I will see you next time.
know she carried your whole world.